Hello, thank you so much for choosing this video. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, please could you like it, share it, and it'd be great if you could subscribe to the channel. It'll really help me out. Enjoy. So I've come to Oldham today, 7 miles northeast of Manchester, and it was once the most productive cotton spinning mill town in the world. There was 16.4 million spindles here at one time, 1911. And the last mill closed in 1998. Just recently it's been reinventing itself into a centre of further education and performing arts. So the population of Oldham is around about 96,000 in the built-up area, but in the borough it's 224, so it's fairly extensive. So I'm currently walking through a place called Glodwick at the moment. And Glodwick was the scene of the worst civil unrest in the UK since the poll tax riots in 1990. But this riot was about racial tension between white and Asian youths. And it actually started with a small fight between said different groups, really, just a couple of lads having a scrap. I think it might have been over cricket, but there's all kinds of different accounts. But the actual fight started here. Now, civil unrest is nothing new to Oldham. It's got a history of it with the Luddites, the suffragette movement and the labour movements. So the working classes have often protested. The Luddites attacked a cotton mill in Middleton at one time, and 10,000 people from the Oldham area descended upon St. Peter's Fields in Manchester to discuss political reform. So a couple of facts about Oldham then. There used to be two schools, two secondary schools. One was called the Count Hill School and the other was the Breezehill School. And on the Wikipedia page, when you have a look at Oldham, it did say that at one time secondary schools in Oldham were formed of pupils of 99% of one singular culture, so there was very little integration. However, when the two schools closed, they did actually amalgamate into one big academy called the Waterhead Academy to try and get the kids to integrate a little bit better. Now that academy's done okay-ish, but on its last Ofsted report it is actually showing as inadequate, with the kids being fairly unruly and so on. You can have a look at that. So just to discuss the Glodwick riot that happened in 2001 a little bit more. So there's, like I say, there's various accounts, but just coming up to the starting point here on the corner, where two lads had a scrap and it just got out of hand. But then it was said that a group of white boys had come into this area and started attacking people, including throwing a brick through the window of a lady's house, and the lady was pregnant, so obviously the locals were incensed by that, and it just kind of spiraled out of all control. And it was said at one time around about 500 Asian youths were involved in pitch battles, and it went on for around about 3 days, so it was significant, and it was very, very lucky that nobody was killed in the trouble. The trouble was that bad that even the Deputy Mayor, Riaz Ahmed, had his house with his family attacked in Chadderton, and the offices of the local press were attacked as well. But there was a headline in the Manchester Evening News as well, because there was different things happening at that time. There was a lot of tension, and one of the things that had happened was that a chap called Walter Chamberlain was walking back from a rugby match he'd been to, and was allegedly mugged by 3 Asian youths. And then the Manchester Evening News headline said, "Beaten for being white," and obviously showed his bruised face on the front, which obviously created a lot of anxiety and anger. And then what happened after that, the National Front applied to march in Oldham, but it was denied. And then Stoke City fans went on the rampage, deliberately walking through Asian areas to cause trouble, basically. Okay, so on the Saturday of the riot that weekend, this building here, it's now a kids' nursery, so I don't want to film it too closely, obviously, but you can see the shape of it. It used to be a pub called the Live and Let Live pub, and it was very much a pub where white people went to drink, basically, and it came under attack with bricks and so on and so forth, and people were actually terrified inside. So that's where it was. I'll just give you an angle there. Obviously, like I say, I don't want to film too close. So I'm still in Glodwick at the minute. After this event happened in 2001 at the pub, it did get taken over eventually. It went into disrepair. Got taken over, you can see the pub sign there, look. Into, it was an Asian clothes shop to start with. And obviously now it's a kiddies nursery. So I used to work in Oldham at one time. I used to run a nightclub here, and it's quite interesting coming back, because I was always warned never to come down this area. And I know I've mentioned it before a few times, and you know, I've had a bit of kickback on that, saying, oh, you always mention that you've got, you know, Muslim friends and this. Well, I did have, you know, and that's fine, isn't it? And I had a very good friend who lived in this area, and I said, well, I'll come down and, you know, have a meal. He said, nah, it's just a bit dodgy, you know, and he wouldn't want me to get hurt or anything like that. So I was always really worried about coming down here, but so far so good. But like a lot of places, really, daytime's one thing, isn't it? So yeah, I'll just have a mooch around quickly. A few flags there. That's the second one I've seen, actually. There was one just, I don't know if you saw it in shot before. So yeah, there was a couple of pubs that came under attack. There was one on Lees Road as well. I mean, obviously pubs are pubs where people drink alcohol, so, you know, it's a different culture, isn't it? So I'll just have a little walk around here. It's a shame, really, isn't it, that obviously in the Industrial Revolution, when the UK was flying, you know, all that manufacturing that we did as a country, and people came over to help and so on and so forth, and now nothing. It's a real shame. All them millions of spindles to nothing, all those mills, and it's the same for a lot of towns, certainly in the north. Now, Oldham did have a coal mining tradition as well. There was around about 150 pits at one time, which surprised me when I was looking it up. I didn't realise that, but there was a considerable amount of coal mining. You don't think of that. Obviously you think of the Yorkshire pits and Nottinghamshire, Wales, but not so much Greater Manchester or Lancashire, however you want to classify Oldham. I know they are trying to push performing arts and so on. Obviously the Oldham Coliseum's been a long-standing theatre here, and it's produced quite a lot of famous people, really, in the public eye. Got a Pakistan flag there. And I'll go through some of the people that were born in this area. It has actually yielded quite a lot of people. Okay, so I'm doing my usual walking down a British street thing that I do. So we'll do that. So I know a lot of people like to see the architecture and so on, and how we're changing, the changing face of the high street. So we'll have a little wander down. So I'm still in the Oldham area, on the route out to Chadderton. Anybody knows that? It's called Fat Twins, that. Funny name for a store, isn't it? Got an opticians, so on. There's a sweet store, they're lovely. Lovely sweet store. Lots of cakes. Subway. Immigration lawyers. Prestigious Claims Accident Management Group. Confectionery. Halal butchers. A few more high street shops occupied. Typical, I get to the crossing, there's no traffic. There you go. Oh well. There's the central masjid, mosque. Looks like a fairly new build actually. Yeah. Morning. You alright? Try and be as friendly as I can. Yeah, so it looks like relatively new. I'll have to look that up. I'll put a little note up on the video when that was built, but quite a big one. And this here, this looks like some kind of, well, let's have a look, shall we? Part of it's a supermarket called Sonali. I think the other part of it's like a educational centre. I'll have a look. Alright. Oh, there's a fitness place as well, a gym. So obviously it's one of these old mills. Look at the big chimney there, 1881. Wow. So Pan-Asia, I think, or Asia. Let's have a look what we've got. There's all sorts in here. There's a big grand venue. Huge. Anchor Plaza. So it's like a business park. So it's got lots of different businesses. It's good that an old mill's been put to good use. I mean, rather than just being derelict. Let's be right. It's huge as well. Yeah, so what we got in here? Yusuf's Bargain Bazaar, Blessings Accessories, Al Safa Travel, Planet Travel and Tours, Digital World, and Zen Appliances. So there we are. We've got stock clearance at Arabaya. Okay, so they've made good use of a big old mill, and there you can see the mosque in the background. So I talked about a few well-known people that have come from this area. Let me just rattle some off. Cannon and Ball. I always thought they were from Blackpool myself, but they must live up there because of the summer seasons and so on. Obviously one of them now. Biggins. Louise Brown's from Oldham, the first in vitro fertilisation baby. You remember that? Dora Bryan, Brian Cox, Bernard Cribbins, Carl Cox the DJ. You can see I'm doing this in alphabetical order, can't you? Carl Cox the DJ, Nick Grimshaw in Spiral Carpets. This is how it feels when your world feels nothing at all. Sarah Lancashire, great actor. Ralph Little from Royal Family and Things. 2 Pints of Lager, was he in that as well? Mark Owen, How to Take That. Little Mark, bless him. Eric Sykes, another classic comedian actor. Do you remember the plank he did that time? and Philip Schofield. Any of you that look at the other videos on the channel probably know that I do like the odd football ground. This one's an old beauty, Oldham Athletic, Boundary Park. Sadly it's seen better days, but I think you get that with the character of old grounds, old floodlights and things. I thought I'd show you this as well as I venture out of the town. I don't know what else I can show you really. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. See if I can see through this little gap. There's kind of a little bit of the ground in there if you can see it, yeah?